No one wants to live a mediocre life, but it's something that we can easily fall into if we don't make the right choices and focus on the right things. Hey friends, welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Jillz and I help women step into their power, become their best selves, live their best lives. So if that's something you want to do, you should subscribe and stick around. So in today's video, I'm talking about how to escape a life of mediocrity, because as humans, we can sometimes fall into this trap of just settling, getting comfortable and getting content with what we don't actually really want in life. And that is a dangerous trap to get into. And unfortunately, it's very common. Now, if you want to get away from living a mediocre life, you have to figure out what mediocre means to you and consequently what success looks like to you. Because what one person sees as their dream life, what one person sees as their ultimate success, another person might see as their literal nightmare. Not everyone wants to be the next Elon Musk. Not everyone wants to be the next Gigi Hadid. Not everyone wants to be the next president of the United States. Some people will, yes, dream of being an entrepreneur, building this huge business, making a ton of money, and that's what success looks like to them. But for other people, it might mean living in the country, on a farm, in peace and quiet, and being totally self-sufficient, growing their own food. And one is not better than the other. Because here's the thing, if you're this big shot, mega wealthy executive in New York City, but that's not really what you've wanted, you're just doing it because you think that's what you're supposed to want, then at the end of the day, you're still not gonna feel very happy. You're still gonna feel like you're living a mediocre life. Everyone else on the outside might think that you have your life together, that you're killing it, but on the inside, in reality, you're gonna feel the exact opposite. Because what we define as mediocre and what we define as success is entirely up to our own interpretation. So to escape a life of mediocrity, that means that what you want, deep down, you must follow. You have to listen to those subtle or not so subtle things that you feel in your gut and start progressing in the direction that you actually want to go. It's about thinking for yourself, living life on your terms, and not just doing something because somebody told you to. And guess what? As you get older, as you experience life, your desires and goals and what you define as success is probably going to change. And that's okay. That's a part of life. A lot of times the reason why we get trapped in mediocrity is because we stay stuck and stay fixated on what we used to want instead of being open to change and honoring what we actually want now. You can't be afraid to change things up and ride the waves of life. Now, something that keeps people stuck in mediocrity is they stop learning. They stop growing. And some people, once they graduate school, they never ever open another book in their lives, or they'll never listen to an interesting podcast, or they won't even watch something like an informative YouTube video. You can tell the difference between the people who are focused on their self-growth and continuously learning and gaining knowledge and those that aren't. No matter what you want in life, no matter what your goals are, never picking up a book, never learning anything new, never occasionally pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone is most likely not going to lead you to success. It's much easier to watch TV or scroll on our phone or even play video games, but you have to be honest with yourself, is that really getting you to the life that you want? Learning is not something we always want to do in the moment, but it's usually not something we ever really regret. Read books on subjects you're interested in, listen to podcast interviews that inspire you, acquire knowledge that will enhance your life. But of course, we don't only learn and grow through books and podcasts. We also learn by experiencing life, building self-awareness, taking time for reflection. We can learn so much and grow so much if we're just open to the lessons that life has to offer. But so many of us stay close to this because it's not always easy to look at. It's not easy to recognize our faults. It's not easy to recognize where we might be self-sabotaging ourselves. It's not easy to choose to learn from failure instead of shutting down from it. But that's what separates those who end up living a mediocre life and those who don't. It's just about prioritizing learning and growth in whatever way aligns with you, and not just stopping all that the minute you become an adult. Maybe that learning is more career focused, maybe it's more self-healing focused, maybe it's more focused on children, like becoming the best parent you can be. Maybe it's more focused on love. But either way, don't stop learning just because you're not technically in school anymore. This is a quick way to fall into mediocrity. And next, if you don't want to live a mediocre life, you can't let fear hold you back. To find true love, you must be willing to take the risk of getting your heart completely broken. To find your dream job, you must be willing to take that risk of rejection. To move to your dream city, you must be willing to leave everything you're comfortable with and jump into the unknown. To live life on your terms in a way that makes you happy, you must be willing to be different and possibly face judgment. You will never escape fear and risk in your life. It's a part of the game. And sometimes to move from mediocre to thriving, you have to face that risk head on. You have to jump into the unknown. Sometimes you just have to surrender to that fear. And sometimes it will hurt. Sometimes you will get your heart broken. Sometimes you will fail. Sometimes you will get rejected. Sometimes you will make mistakes. But other times you'll find exactly what you want and get exactly what you want. And taking that risk will be worth it. The way you create a truly fulfilling life is by not letting fear get in the way. So many people just don't get what they want in life and they end up settling because they're just too scared. And a big one, if you want to escape mediocrity, you have to start expecting more from life. You have to start realizing that you are deserving of the life that you want. I'm a big believer that we want things for a reason, that we desire certain things, that we want certain things because it's meant for us. But deep down, a lot of people think that they'll never get what they want, that their version of a fulfilled life is asking too much, or it's silly, or it's just beyond their capabilities. But of course, as we all know, if you don't believe something can happen, then there's a solid 99% chance that it won't. I don't know if some of you guys have heard of this TikTok trend. It was more of a trend like a few months ago, but it was all about how the key to getting what you want and manifesting what you want in life is by being completely delusional. Just wholeheartedly believing, even if it makes no logical sense to your rational and fearful mind, and just believing that you can get what you want and you can be the type of person you want to be. It's just about literally being delusional. And there are so many women who have shared their stories about how them being delusional has led them to an immense amount of success and reaching their goals that nobody would have thought was possible. And from an actual psychological perspective, this can be very, very powerful, because what you're doing is you're shifting your identity. You're shifting your identity to someone who 100% believes in this possibility. And that identity shift and that belief is more powerful than you think. If you want to escape mediocrity and start living a more successful life, whatever that looks like for you, you can't see it as some far off, maybe one day, but probably not gonna happen kind of goal. You have to take it seriously. You have to start really believing in it. And you have to start realizing that you're worthy of that life that you want. You have to start getting comfortable with the fact that your dream life and whatever you see as success can be a reality for you. Now for this next point, I want to read this quote by Todd Henry. He says, "Mediocrity doesn't just happen. It's chosen over time through small choices day by day. Living a mediocre life or living a fulfilling, successful life is in our hands, and it's based off of our little choices and our little daily habits. That's all it is. It's reading for 20 minutes before bed instead of scrolling. It's cooking yourself a healthy dinner instead of ordering takeout that one night. It's writing at least one page in that book every single day that you want to write so badly. It's going to bed early so you can get a good night's rest, wake up early in the morning, instead of staying out at that bar until 3 a.m. These little choices add up, and you might not see the positive effects right away, but you will eventually. Just like if you make poor choices in these scenarios, you might not see the negative effects right away either, but don't worry, eventually you will. Life is just a compilation of all of our little choices and all of our little daily habits built up. So if you want to escape a mediocre life, try not to get so overwhelmed and caught up in the bigger picture. It starts with the little things, and those little things eventually turn into the big things. I watched that new Christmas movie, Spirited, on Apple TV with Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, and it was really good. I highly recommend it. It's very entertaining. But in the movie, Will Ferrell's character says, "Our choices make us who we are." And he's right. Everything in life, from the type of person we become to the success that we reach, comes back to these little choices we make. And last, if you want to escape mediocrity, you have to remember that if you do things like everyone else, you'll be like everyone else. And unfortunately, most people in our world today are unhealthy, unhappy, and really unsatisfied in their life. And so that means oftentimes escaping a life of mediocrity will mean doing things differently than the norm. And this is not always easy, I get it, but it's also not easy to live a life that you don't like. If you are surrounded by people who are living lives that you do not aspire to, then should you be doing things just like them? Probably not, because you will end up just like them. Who you surround yourself with has a huge impact on who we become, and that's because we end up subconsciously taking on the habits, mindsets, and behaviors of those around us. Now, if you are currently only surrounded by people who are living out your dream, your version of success, then that's great. Those are great people to emulate. but that's not usually the case. Don't be afraid to break out of the mold and do things your way. If you want to rise above the rest, if you want to be healthier, happier, more fulfilled, more successful than the rest, you have to start acting different than the rest. Now, if you're really ready to up-level your life, go check out this video, how to completely reinvent yourself in just 6 months. I love this video. It's one of my favorites. You'll probably get a lot of value out of it, and you can reinvent yourself if you want to. It's very possible, and it's not as hard as you think. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that you enjoyed it. I will see you over there, or I will just see you next time. Bye.